Hey, what's up everybody? It's me, Jordan, and I'm back with another inking video. In this series, I like to give you guys a quick preview of some of the drawings I'm working on, show you guys some of the techniques I use for my line work, maybe give some inking tips along the way. I'm not really sure, I just kind of make it up as I go along, so hopefully there's some helpful advice in this. But anyway, this time I'm drawing Naruto. Obviously, everyone knows who Naruto is if you've watched anime. So I thought it was about time that I drew Naruto, because he's such an iconic anime character, I guess. Probably one of the most well known. I've actually already done a drawing of Boruto, Naruto's son, so I'll chuck a link to that if you want to check out that video, if you haven't already seen it. But for this drawing, I used reference. I changed it up a little bit and added some stuff, and you'll kind of see as the drawing progresses, some of those changes. I added some smoky effects, and I've kind of changed his hair a little bit. But it's still very much working off the reference. It was just such a cool picture. I liked the pose and the look in his eyes and stuff. I thought it'd be fun to kind of recreate that with a little bit of my own style in it. If you guys are curious on what art supplies I use, check out the video description for my videos. I've generally got a list of the supplies that I use. But a quick rundown, the paper I'm using is Canson bleed proof paper. I might end up trying out some different marker papers. This is a really thin paper. I use it for all these Copic drawings and it works pretty well. It's not always the easiest for blending, but I've kind of gotten used to it, so it's okay. You can't layer too much on it because it's a thin paper, but it still works really well with Copics. It doesn't suck up too much ink, and it's good for inking as well. For the line work, I like to use the Copic drawing pen, which is a really cool pen, which has unfortunately been discontinued, which really sucks. So I'm going to be looking into trying out some alternatives, trying out a dip pen, which I'm actually should be getting sent to me soon from Aichi Craft. Depending on when you watch this video, I think it's meant to actually come today when I'm narrating this, but by the time I upload this, I'm sure I'll already have the pen. So some videos on me using that should be coming. I used to use the Copic multi-liners a lot. I use them for like all my line work, but I've kind of gotten used to the feel of a nib pen, I guess, like a steel nib pen. There's just something that feels more precise about it than like a felt tip pen, like the multi-liners or the Sakura inking pens, I guess. That's just kind of personal preference. A lot of people still like them. The Copic multi-liners are still really good quality inking pens. It just comes down to personal preference. So I will be trying the dip pens and see how I like them. The reason why I really liked the Copic drawing pen was because it was just more convenient. You don't have to worry about spilling ink or anything and dipping your pen all the time. So it was kind of like the best of both worlds. That being said, I haven't used a dip pen yet, so that's going to be pretty interesting, and I think there's something special about dip pens once you get used to it. I think they're a little bit trickier to use, so if you're kind of beginning with your line work, I'd probably stick with like a Copic multi-liner or something like that, because they're pretty easy to use and still really good quality. I'm sorry this video's been jumping around a bit. You can see that I've skipped some of the process, I've thickened up a lot of the lines, I just did that off camera, and it's just really hard for me doing these inking videos because, like you saw before, the back of my head was like in the video for a while, and it's just hard because I'm used to getting really close to the paper. I just like put my head like a couple of inches away from the paper so I can see what I'm doing properly. It's kind of just a habit. I don't know if I've got bad eyesight or something. So it's kind of hard to try and keep my head far back enough so you guys can see properly what I'm doing, but I don't really want to compromise my inking, so it's just kind of a bit of a balance. But what I'm doing here is just adding some smoky effects. I thought it gives a bit of flow to the picture and it looked kind of cool, so I went ahead and did that. The way I approach my inking is almost like in two stages. So I'll kind of go in and do the thinner lines first, I guess, and then after that I go back in and thicken up a lot of the kind of outlines or bits that need to stand out a bit more, like around the face or his hand because it's in front of his body. So it's almost like a two-step approach to it, and this way I can still make sure I've got some nice thin lines and then get the thick lines as well. It gives it a nice kind of contrast and a bit more variety to the line work, which I always say makes it look a lot more interesting. I'm not a big fan of just having all the line work looking exactly the same. I think I definitely used to do that, just not vary the line thickness. It's something that is just easy to overlook until you actually consciously try and think about it and realize that it can make a really big difference. So just keep that in mind with your inking. If you want to mix it up a little bit, or you think your inking's looking a little bit bland, try varying the thickness because it can make a big difference. But anyway, that is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, it'd be much appreciated. Check me out on Instagram if you want to see more photos of my artwork and works in progress. And I will catch you guys next week in next week's drawing video. Naruto, Sasuke, Naruto, Sasuke!